Hello, hello. Sound check. Sound check. This is me checking out sounds. Ugh. Alright. I apologize for sound quality. I will be going out and getting the microphone. So, and I am having sound issues anyway. So, on with the show. I finally decided to give Dark Souls 3 a try. It's been sitting in my library for who knows how long. But I did finally get around to it. And so I have completed my Dark Souls journey with 1, 2, and 3. And so I'm here to like happy. Alright, so well, I guess I'm going to give my review. I'm going to have to travel somewhere. So, I've said so like 5 times, I think, in the last minute and a half. Let's pick someplace easy so I can talk about what I think and, you know, my opinion and my review. This is definitely a visual improvement over... Did I explode down here? Yes. This is definitely a visual improvement over Dark Souls 1 and 2. This is far and above, way better, much more an improvement over Dark Souls 2 than Dark Souls 2 was over Dark Souls 1. This is, I mean, the animation is clean, movement is clean. I don't even know what I mean. There we go. My controller is malfunctioning. This is so much cleaner. Combat is cleaner. Rolling is cleaner. The animation is so much smoother. So many visual and just gameplay quality of life improvements. And you can actually see areas of the game where you're going to go. I like it's got like a little blurry effect from the distance. Even though you can run over there, that's finally trying. But aside from the, there's not really much of an improvement in gameplay style. I mean, this is smoother and cleaner, but it's the same old Dark Souls that we've come to know and love from the previous games. The level design is really, really good. I've just, if I come down here and sit, I'll go through all these different areas. There's so many different areas to explore. And I know I didn't even hit everything. I know I missed some places. I mean, I'm not sure, but I know, like, I didn't really explore the snowfield. The dredge heap, I only got to this second bonfire. I don't think I'm going to do any further exploring because I have beat the game. But let's see. Another thing I really liked is the monster variety. There's like if you like each new area: Cemetery of Ash, High Wall of Lothric, Undead Settlement, Road of Sacrifices, Cathedral of Deep, Catacombs Carthus, Irithel. This was a really great area. Well designed, tons of monster variety. Like, the monsters you encounter here in Cemetery of Ash are not the same as you encounter in Boreal Valley. So, I mean, there's guaranteed 2 or 3 new monsters and enemies to fight in every single area. You really don't get to see a lot of redundancy until you hit the end game. And even then, there's still at least 1 or 2 new enemies, mostly towards the end game. So tons of diversity. All the areas feel really unique. Well, I mean, they reused the Flameless Shrine, so that there was some reuse of some set pieces. I mean, but it's not too bad. And it's done in such a way that you can be forgiving. You know, I mean, how many of these bricks are just cut and pasted from somewhere else? You know, if you stare at it long enough, you can start to spot the ones that are repeats. But there's really not that many. I mean, a lot of this landscape is unique. You know, they've got big chunks, so you're not going to encounter a lot of redundant set pieces. You know, unless you spend a lot of time staring at it, like I might have. The spells, I played Sorcerer as usual. I know people say Sorcerer's easy mode, but we'll talk about that some other time. Spells, I didn't get all the sorceries, but I got most of them. Nothing really new here. It's pretty much the same old sorceries. There were fewer dark sorceries than in Dark Souls 2. It wasn't really as big a thing. You know, there were a couple other spells I could have gotten, but in Dark Souls 2, dark sorceries played a big role. There were some interesting pyromancies, which I didn't experiment much with. I mean, I had enough faith that I could have cast a couple of them, and I wound up buying some just to do it. But other than that, didn't really experiment with other playstyles. I did have an axe, just in case I needed to hit something. I didn't feel like accidentally casting a spell. So this is just... I can see why people say this is their favorite Dark Souls game. I really, really do. You know, and having played Elden Ring before I played this, I could see a lot of fingerprints in Elden Ring from this game. There are some definite things that they took from this, either ideas or ideas and concepts, and designs and things of that nature. And yeah, you can just sit and stare at these vistas. I mean, this is just such a well-designed game. In my opinion, this is probably... I mean, I haven't played Bloodborne, I haven't played Demon's Souls because I don't have a PlayStation, and I'm not going to fork over the cash just to play those two games. And of those two, Demon's Souls kind of seems like a step backwards. The remake is beautiful, but it's a lot smaller and less ambitious than some of these other games. Bloodborne I would definitely play if they made a PC version, and I would love it if they did, but I don't think they're going to at this point. This point in the series. So, I have gushed over this game for about 7.5 minutes. Now it's time to talk about the things I didn't like. I mentioned I played as a caster, and I do think this game was not well designed for a caster. And I'll show you why. I picked this region for a reason, but this is this is far back. This is not. I mean, I can't play long range. This is medium range. I mean, I realize I'm on the high ground here, but you know, if I got into look how close I am before I come to target lock. See how close I am? He can easily close the distance. You know, you see how fast he comes forward? I mean, yeah, I have time, but oh, wrong spell. Oop, wrong spell. Okay. So, as you can see, yeah, I made some mistakes, but it's real easy for them to close a distance. And not only that, there are multiple enemies that can close that distance in an instant, that can just lunge forward. You know, I found the bosses to be interesting and challenging and well designed, but I found the ordinary enemies were actually way harder. You know, unless I can get a backstab like that, unless they don't turn around. Look how, I mean, you know, look how close he cut. You know, yes, I can dodge, but I basically, except for, you know, I'm kind of playing it like mid-range. I'm not really. This game is not designed for a caster. You know, it's. Let me find something else to target. Yeah. Like, I couldn't really target him until he got up off the ground, so. Just get these dudes. Now, I realize I'm making this look easy, but I'm also, like, level 117. You know, I'm geared for endgame. Can I target you? Yeah. And look, target locks off. Now, now there are enemies that can gap close that distance, literally before it takes the time for you to cast this spell, Great Soul Arrow. Heavy Soul Arrow takes 3 seconds to cast. You know, so like it's almost not worth using. I spent a majority of the game playing with Great Soul Arrow. I mean, yeah, with Soul Arrow, Great Soul Arrow. I would use this, like I would sneak up and use this as my sneak attack, and then switch to this when I had to get actually fight, because it was just. And like I said, I know people say caster is easy mode, but in this game, it's not. It really isn't. I could have done just as much damage and been safer as a melee build. If I picked up like the Thug's Greatsword and just pumped instead of pumping points into Mind, or what is the stat? Attunement, to level up my mana points, my FP. If I instead put that into stamina and endurance and stuff, so I could wear heavy armor and swing a big heavy weapon, I would have done just as much damage. You know, the Thug's Greatsword, fully upgraded. You know, when you've got stats for it and the stamina for it, it's doing 500 points a swing, which is about what I'm doing with my spell. And I've got heavy protective armor, and I've probably got more hit points. So I found this game really punishing as a caster. I really did. That's not to say not saying I didn't struggle, not to say it wasn't difficult, but like I said, the normal areas of the game, like this area is easy. I strolled through this. I beat the boss here at the second try, the boss in this area. But Dancer. I beat Dancer in the first try. I beat that boss in my very, very first try. But getting there with getting from Vort to the Dancer boss room was harder than killing the boss. It really was, and that I found that emblematic of almost the entire game. I found navigating this game harder than beating the bosses as a caster. And I know a lot of people that will just run past them. It's like, this is my first playthrough. I didn't know the game well enough to just run past everything, because I didn't know where anything was. So this game was not well designed as a caster, or for casters. This game was designed for people who play melee. And in that, it excels. It really, really does. The other thing I didn't like was stats. Now, you see my intelligence down is like way over level. My intelligence is 71. But I did that because I didn't have anywhere else to put it. You know, my vigor is 35, my attunement's 40. I mean, at some point, like if I drink a potion, like, hold on. Let me just empty my FP bar. Just to give you an idea. 4 more shots. Alright, so my mana bar is empty. I drink a blue potion. And it's like 3/4 full. So I reach stack cap really, really quickly. I wound up putting a ton of points into vigor, like my hit points was 1100. And I did that partly because I'm a squishy caster, but you know, I wound up putting points into attunement and intelligence and vigor as well, because I didn't need the endurance because I wasn't wearing heavy armor. I have enough stamina. I probably could have used a couple more points in endurance for some more stamina. I didn't need equipment load because I'm wearing light gear. So like the stack, you reach the soft caps really, really early, and there's virtually no point in putting any points in intelligence. Like I put points in intelligence. Like I said, I was also kind of curious to see what kind of point kind of additional damage I might get. Basically, from 60 to 65 in intelligence, I got literally 1 more point of damage. That's it. I actually started getting more damage over 65, but not by much. Like between 65 and 70, I think I got an extra 8 points of damage. So more than 60 to 65, but it's like there's really no point in putting. Once you reach that cap, you're done. Well, like I'm level 118. Sorry, I thought it was 117. And I was looking online, the recommended time to face the last boss is between level 90 and level 120, which is kind of a big gap, actually, but really probably somewhere around 100. Your build is basically done, and those next 20 points are useless. They really, really are. So I found that to be kind of annoying. Like there's really no way to progress your character. You're supposed to leveling up is supposed to be kind of like exciting. I said, ooh, I got an extra point to put into something. It's like, but why bother? I didn't need faith. I didn't need luck. I didn't need anything else. My character was done. So I found that bit of design to be a bit lackluster. But other than those few complaints, the fact that, as a caster, this game I really struggle with this game, more so than any other of the Dark Souls games. But yeah, this game is probably, aside from those couple points that I made, this game is probably better designed than Elden Ring, in my opinion. And I love Elden Ring, so. But yeah, those couple factors. I think, I'm coming to these games late, so I'm not gonna. I mean, I started replaying Dark Souls 1 because Elden Ring hadn't come out yet. I'm never gonna replay Dark Souls 2. This game I probably won't. If I had played these games when they first came out instead of waiting on them, because when I first saw them, saw people playing them online, they didn't really interest me, So, it just didn't look like my kind of thing, and I regret that. I think if I played these games when they first came out, I would have replayed these games over and over and over again. But because I didn't, shut up, go back. Because I didn't play these games when they were new, and I'm coming at them later, I kind of missed out on loving these games as much as I could have. Because so much time has passed and other games have a bit more quality of life, what I think are quality of life improvements. I'm probably not going to replay this game. Which is kind of a shame, because it is a really, really well-designed game. If I had bought this game that was brand new, I would have gone back and played as a pyromancer just to see, I like casting. Sorry, I do. But yeah, I think this looks so cool having a little fireball in your little flaming hand. I would have played as a caster. I would have tried a melee build. I would have tried all kinds of different things if I played this game brand new, 90 years ago, so it was brand new. I would have gone multiple playthroughs of this game. I hate the fact that the only hat that gives you bonus spell damage looks this. It's the same one from Dark Souls 1. There's a lot of reuse nostalgia stuff from Dark Souls 1, which I think is fine. I really enjoyed it. But yeah, this hat is so stupid looking. This is probably one of the ugliest hats in the game, but it's the only one that gives you extra spell damage. So, that is my review. Great game. Not perfect, but very, very few things to complain about. Yeah, just those couple points that I mentioned. Other than that, this is probably, like I said, in my opinion, the best game in the Souls series that I have played. With the caveat that I have not played Demon Souls, Bloodborne, or Sekiro. I'm probably not going to play Sekiro because it doesn't scratch the same itch. I mean, it probably is it's got a better written story. I know a bit about it, but the fact that I like the fact that I have a lot of choices for weapons and stuff. I have different choices for spells and gameplay. With Sekiro is basically you're a samurai. You have a katana, and that's it, which is great. The game Sekiro is great too, but it doesn't appeal to me. So, of the 4 FromSoft Souls games that I've played, I think this is the best made one. Yeah, I think that's about it. As always, thanks for watching. As always, my stuff is crap. And until next time, good hunting.